Hi guys, and welcome again to Lore of the Cards, the series that looks to reveal the lore buried deep within your Hearthstone deck. For this episode, I reached out to one of my favourite Hearthstone pro streamers to ask them what their favourite character in the Warcraft universe is, and which card best represented it in Hearthstone. He's been kind enough to mention this series while streaming, and I hope in return I can expose some lore he didn't know about his favourite character. The Mayor of Valuetown, Trump, is a fan of Elune, moon goddess of the Night Elves. So today's episode will be on that card that's always in someone's deck, Priestess of Elune. The art of the card is by Dan Scott, and the image was initially used in the Warcraft trading card game. The Night Elven Hunter in the image was used to represent a hybrid Druid Paladin card called Blessing of the Heavens. Dan Scott is a freelance illustrator based in Kansas City, Missouri. He started out doing a few commissions in 1996 and was able to become a full-time illustrator in 2006. Before going fully freelance, he worked as a production artist for Hallmark Cards. Scott, in his bio, says he likes to produce art with a fantastic theme. This means he produces a lot of fantasy work, but also creates sci-fi, comic and horror images, among others. He enjoys making scenes that are larger than life. Scott has a very impressive client list because, well, look at his work, it's amazing. As well as Blizzard, he's worked for Marvel, DC, Wizards of the Coast and loads more. You can find the rest on his website. Scott has produced art for a couple of Warcraft major lore characters, the blind shaman Drekthar and the twisted old god Yogg-Saron. The Priestess of Elune is not a major lore character, but being Night Elf, it means she is extremely likely to worship Elune. Why would a card called Priestess of Elune have a bow and arrow, you ask? Don't worry, I'll look to address this and more as we take a look at this serene goddess. The formal worship of Elune can be tracked back 14,000 years in Night Elven society, but it is very likely worship of her predates this. She is associated with the larger of Azeroth's two moons, the White Lady. It is believed that it was the Mother Moon that protected the beings of Azeroth through the world's first night as they waited for the dawn's brilliant light. Thanks to Elune's protection, these primitive lifeforms were able to evolve into the varied abundance of life that is seen today. The Tauren, or Taran depending on your dialect, also revere Elune, but the mythology surrounding her is somewhat different to the Night Elves. While the Night Elves see Elune as a single deity, the Tauren who call Elune Musha see her as a part of the Earth Mother, who the Tauren worship as their creator and the embodiment of nature and life. Musha the moon and Anshi the sun are her eyes. Elune has never been seen in physical form on Azeroth, so no one truly knows what she looks like. However, she is often depicted as a Night Elven woman of transcendent beauty and perfection. Her eyes gleam with pure moonlight, cascading silver hair frames her face, and her skin an unblemished alabaster. She wears a simple platinum circlet and is surrounded by pure moonlight. She also apparently doesn't wear very much. Despite never being seen, Elune does interact with her followers. The goddess is largely associated with healing, as well as promoting tranquility and harmony, as this allows all creatures on Azeroth to flourish. She is able to bless her followers with the ability to heal grievous and otherwise fatal wounds. This peaceful aspect of Elune's personality is known as the Mother Moon. Despite advocating peace, Elune is no pushover, another aspect of her personality being dubbed the Night Warrior. Elune's followers understand the need for and are often extensively trained in combat and the art of war. Sometimes one must fight in order to protect peace and harmony. This is why the Priestess of Elune in the card wields a bow. Despite being a holy woman, she knows how to kick ass. The Night Warrior aspect of Elune is said to lift the souls from the valiant who have fallen in combat and set them to riding as newborn stars across the eternal night sky. It is believed by some that Elune created the Wildkin to guard sites sacred to the Night Elves. Devotion to Elune is almost universal across the Night Elf race in some shape or form, but her most devout followers are the Sisterhood of Elune, led by the current High Priestess, Tyrande Whisperwind. While the Sisterhood is open to men who want to worship Elune, this is a recent development, the highest positions of the Order are held exclusively by women. It is believed that only a woman's heart can truly understand the mysteries of Elune and her teachings. Currently, the Sisterhood of Elune are a major political faction, some members acting as magistrates and officials. The very highest ranking members are privy to government secrets as well. For example, after the second defeat of the Burning Legion, Malfurion Stormrage entered the spirit realm known as the Emerald Dream in order to replenish his power. During this time, something went horribly wrong, and Malfurion became trapped in the dream, his spirit form unable to return to his physical body. Few knew of this development, bar the highest ranking members of the Sisterhood of Elune and the Druid sect, the Cenarian Circle. Despite expecting devotion from her children, Elune does not demand her priestesses to dedicate every waking moment to her. The priestesses find Elune a nurturing matriarch who deeply loves her followers and is far from oppressive in her nature. The first temple dedicated to the worship of Elune was established by the sisters in the ancient Keldarai capital of Zinashari. The word Keldarai is what the Night Elves call themselves. It means children of the stars in their native tongue of Darnassian. As the Keldarai nobility, the Highborn, and the race's Queen Ashara distanced themselves from the tenets of Elune, the Order relocated their main temple to the city of Suramar. This temple acted as the main headquarters for the Sisterhood, but places of worship were scattered all across the land of Kalimdor. During the Burning Legion's first invasion into Azeroth, Suramar fell to their relentless attack, a demonic race called the Nathrazim taking up residence within the city. The Sisterhood of Elune, driven out of their main temple, met with Lord Ravencrest, who led the Night Elven resistance against the Burning Legion, who had been summoned to the world by Queen Ashara and her Highborn. With the backing of Ravencrest, the Sisterhood began to push back towards Suramar, but suffered a devastating loss. The current High Priestess, Dejana, was killed, impaled by one of the Burning Legion's lieutenants, Hakar the Houndmaster, and her magic fed upon by ravenous fellhounds. Despite her healing prowess, Dejana was unable to recover. However, she was able to live long enough to name Tyrande as her successor. Even with her magic drained, her connection to Elune had impressively kept her alive through impalement and siphoning to do this. The Night Elves' arrogance and reckless use of arcane magic had been what attracted the Legion to Azeroth. As the ancient Guardians gathered under the radiant light of the moon to help them fight the Legion, Elune became a profound source of hope and humility to the Keldarai. After the Titans shaped Azeroth and blessed the dragon aspects with their powers, the land itself gave birth to the Ancients. These demigods were bound to the world as no others could be, and would protect it to the bitter end. In fact, during the First War with the Legion, several of these hugely powerful benevolent beings were slain in their defence of Azeroth. With the help of the Ancients, dragons and other allies, the Keldarai were able to push back the Legion's invasion. Elune herself has had close relations with several of the ancient Guardians, and has even had a hand in creating a couple. Goldrin, the White Wolf Ancient, embodies ferocity, savagery, and an unyielding will. While Goldrin had a noble heart, he was unwilling to tame his savagery, which disappointed Elune. Every time the full moon lit up the sky, Goldrin felt as if Elune was glaring down at him in judgment. Elune's conviction caused Goldrin to spiral into a rage, and he became even more bloodthirsty on these nights. He's also very closely linked to the Druids of the Scythe, who you can find out about in my video on the Raging Worgen. Goldrin was redeemed when he nobly sacrificed himself during the Burning Legion's attack, helping Night Elf cities hold and killing hundreds of demons before eventually succumbing to his wounds. He was later resurrected during the Cataclysm expansion. Aviana started life as a simple raven, but was chosen by Elune to deliver messages to her son, who we're about to cover. Soon, Aviana was delivering messages between many of the world's ancients. Each granted the raven new abilities in order to perform her tasks, and eventually, Aviana became an ancient as well. She also fell during the war and would later be resurrected. The two-headed dog Omen was a creature of great strength and wisdom. Elune blessed the beast with immortality so that he could help the races of primordial Kalimdor, guiding hunters and gatherers and aiding them with advice as well as giving them luck. Like the other ancients, Omen joined the fight against the Burning Legion. He fought bravely, but as the battle continued, his body became covered by wounds from demonic weapons. Eventually, he could fight no more and entered into a deep sleep to recover. As Omen slept, demonic nightmares filled his thoughts, slowly consuming him. After waking centuries later, he had succumbed to madness. He rampaged through the land, having lost control of his sanity, but Elune's blessing stayed with him, making him a truly powerful and destructive force. His rampage was ended in the village of Nighthaven, where heroes gathered to cool down the moon's wrath upon him. Stunned by Elune's power, Omen took refuge in the deep waters of Lake Ilunara. Since he was blessed by Elune, Omen is immortal and is still corrupted by the Legion. Each year, during the lunar festival, he will emerge from his lake and must once again be driven back. Malorn, the White Stag Ancient, has been Elune's only lover. Their union gave birth to the demigod Cenarius. Malorn is responsible for the creation and nurturing of nature on Azeroth. Due to taking Malorn as her lover, Elune is intimately connected to the natural world. Cenarius inherited Elune's unconditional love for the living beings of Azeroth and his father's affinity with nature. While the Kel'Dorai druids follow the teachings of Cenarius, having a very close relationship with the natural world, they also acknowledge Elune's great importance. In fact, the entirety of Night Elven society is structured around the harmonious balance between the druids and the priestess's beliefs. This harmony goes to the very top, the High Priestess Tyrande being married to the Archdruid Malfurion, the current rulers of the Kel'Dorai. The Tauren have a slightly different tale as to how Cenarius was conceived. Again, it was a union between Malorn, who they call Aparo, and Elune, Musha. The Earth Mother gave all Tauren a love for hunting. The Tauren would hunt beasts down and with the Earth Mother's blessing, tame them. Aparo was the only one that eluded them, a stag with white fur whose antlers scraped the very heavens. While running from hunters, Aparo leapt into the sky to evade them, but his antlers became tangled in the stars. As he struggled to escape, Musha found him, immediately falling in love. She said she would free Aparo if he would love her in return and end her loneliness as she chased her brother Anshi across the sky. This meeting led to the birth of Cenarius. Very similar to the Night Elf belief, but weaved into a more poetic tale, with Elune coming off a little more needy and weaker than she actually is. Cenarius may also give hints as to Elune's origins, but it's important to note that this is speculation. The Kel'Dorai are descended from a type of troll. In troll culture, they worship powerful spirits called Loa. It is also possible for a mortal to become a Loa. Elune may have been a mortal that rose to become a goddess, empowered by the Well of Eternity, a font of huge magical power crafted by the Titans that used to sit in the very centre of Azeroth until it imploded, causing the Great Sundering. There was even a point when Night Elves believed Elune slept in the well during the daytime. This mortal theory is given validity through Cenarius and his children, the Dryads and Keepers of the Grove. All of them have the lower half of a stag, but the top half of their bodies looks very similar to that of a Night Elf. Since they are all biologically linked to Elune, this could be her imprint into their appearance. The Draenei racial leader, Prophet Velen, believes Elune may in fact be a powerful Naaru. The Naaru are a race of wise energy beings with a deep connection to the Holy Light. Velen has had a close relation to the Naaru for thousands of years, so it's unlikely he would have proposed this theory without significant thought. However, when he told Tyrande, she dismissed the idea. Unlike Elune, the Naaru actively discourage anyone from worshipping them. After the conflict with the Burning Legion that became known as the War of the Ancients, and the Great Sundering which split Kalimdor into the 4 continents we know today, a period known as the Long Vigil began. This was the time when devotion to Elune became essentially universal among the Night Elves. Tyrande and her sisters watched over the woodlands of northern Kalimdor, while Malfurion and his druids slumbered in the Emerald Dream, a spirit world that depicts Azeroth as if no intelligent beings altered its surface. This period also saw changes happen within the Sisterhood of Elune. There was no longer a centralised place of worship. Worship was a lot less formal but frequently practiced. Shortly after the War of the Ancients, the Sentinels were formed. In the years of peace before the war, the Night Elven army had become sloppy, and this was all too clear when the Legion attacked. The Sentinels were formed in order to remedy this, highly skilled warrior women who could also heal with Elune's blessing. Tyrande and her second, Chandris Feathermoon, headed the Sentinels. This was because Tyrande felt that the Sisterhood of Elune had become far too distant from the rest of society before the war. She thought this distance was partially to blame for how cataclysmic the war with the Legion was. The sisters were trained in healing and combat and had not shared this knowledge freely enough with the people. Her order would direct the Sentinels, sharing their knowledge of tactics and healing to create one of the most dangerous fighting units in all of Azeroth. Because of how they were formed, the Sentinels too have a deep connection to Elune, the perfect representation of her Night Warrior aspect. Elune is a being of formidable power, in case you hadn't guessed, on par with, if not rivaling, one of Azeroth's primordial old gods. These malevolent beings are so powerful that not even Azeroth's shapers, the Titans, could kill them without causing devastating effects to the world they wish to purify, as the old gods were linked to the planet. Elune displays her power through granting miracles to her followers. Kel'Dorai are at their strongest when fighting at night. Priestesses are able to bring a portion of the moon's light into the day, strengthening the Kel'Dorai warriors. Elune is able to cure the deepest corruption, turning the Satyr Avarice Illwhisper, a Legion-corrupted Night Elf, back to his Kel'Dorai form. Tyrande has also called upon Elune's blessing during the Third War, which was the second invasion of the Burning Legion following the Long Vigil. Mother Moon allowed the Kel'Dorai to become invisible at night to avoid detection, and Tyrande was able to receive a powerful blessing that let her rain stars down upon her adversaries. Elune's song has been known to calm those in the heat of battle to a point where the opponents no longer fight each other. In Warcraft 3, the Night Elves will frequently refer to gods. While the Night Elven religion is centred round Elune, it is in fact polytheistic. While we know these other gods exist, they're never really mentioned within the lore. With the Legion defeated for a second time, a new Temple of Elune was constructed, the Kel'Dorai once again having a more formal place of centralised worship to their goddess. It is from here that Tyrande leads her people. So, there you have it. The facts and speculations of one of Azeroth's most powerful entities, blessing her children to fight against those that seek to sabotage peace and harmony. She is able to let her children perform miracles that boggle the mind. One can only imagine how powerful Elune would be if she herself manifested in physical form. But why is Trump a fan of Elune? Well, to tell you, I'm going to pass you over to the man himself.
Well, wasn't that educational? Elune Adore. I'm Trump, and one of my favorite characters from Warcraft lore is Elune. I used to play as a priest in World of Warcraft, and though not a night elf priest, I was a human priest, I found myself drawn to Elune and her teachings because I shared Elune's beliefs toward a kinder and gentler world. One of my favorite items in World of Warcraft is the Elune Stone, which creates a ring of light when you use it. It's a fun little item that you get during the Lunar Festival, which is created by Elune's Lantern, spreading a little bit of light in the world and directing raiders toward directions when you want to just say, hey, go stand in that beam of light. Thank you for covering Elune in such great detail, and undoubtedly doing her proud. You're doing the goddess's work.
No, thank you, Trump. I really appreciate your contribution to this episode. I really hope you have enjoyed this episode on the Priestess of Elune, and as a result, Elune herself. If you have, give us a like, subscribe, and share this video around. You can always dislike, you ass. If you like the art, you can find out more about the artists and see more of their work in the description below. Until next time guys, happy Hearthstoning, and I'll see you for the next episode of Lore of the Cards. The Beast.